on the 1956 XK140 red. We have a pinion seal that is leaking heavily, and you can see where it's throwing oil and sludge and crap all around underneath the car. The pinion seal should be replaced. Both of the lower radiator hoses are cracked and deteriorating. You can see the cracks right here. It's getting ready to let go. When it does, it's going to be sudden and catastrophic. So this hose and this other section of it up here should be replaced before there is a problem. The front sway bar link bushings are cracked and rotted on both the upper and the lower portion of the arms. This one's getting ready to fall out, so those bushings should be replaced. The rear exhaust pipe hangers aren't tight on the vehicle like they should be, so the exhaust rattles and squeaks. You can see a wear mark there where they bounced around inside the clamp. It just needs to be shimmed inside to make them tighter. The bolts are already as tight as they can be, so it's just a matter of shim material in there to hold them good and tight. There are a bunch of oil leaks on it. It is a British car, but there are quite a few leaks. The pan is pretty well saturated. It's dripping off of the oil filter housing. You can see the sheen on the torsion bars, and underneath everything is pretty much wet because of the oil that's been leaking out of the engine from various seals and gaskets. I don't know how far into oil leaks the customer wants to get, but you can see that the leaks are pretty extensive. It even blows onto the exhaust and gives you a burning smell. Now we'll move up top. Now we're up top on the red 56 XK140, and we have an issue with freeze plugs. You can see that green corrosion from where the coolant has been leaking around it. And this one back here, there it is. You can see it's got the green corrosion, and there's a wetness around it where it is leaking a bit of coolant. They're not pouring out, but they are leaking, and they're if these blow out, you lose all the coolant immediately. So that's an issue that needs to be addressed. There is no, on the washer bottle we've got the diaphragm assembly and pump and all sitting there, but there is no vacuum hose going to it, and there's one hose that runs to the nozzles, but there's nothing from the inside, from the controls and all. So we need to take the interior panels down and see what parts are missing, what needs to be done to fix the washer pump if the customer wants the washer pump to work. We will crank it up, and hopefully we can hear. You can see the pedals there. When I depress the clutch pedal, it comes all the way up until it is engaging way at the very, very top. The clutch adjustment needs to be adjusted to see if that can be changed and brought a little bit further down, or find out if the clutch is worn enough that the pedal's all the way up at the top and the clutch needs to be replaced. I'm also hoping you can hear the ticking noise from the valves. There are a couple of valves that are excessively noisy. The only way to get rid of the noise is to adjust the valves. The valve covers would have to be removed, which would also take care of the leak from the valve cover gaskets. There are shims inside that would need to be replaced to correct the valve clearances to remove that tick from the engine. And that is it. The video on the black Lamborghini Countach that we're working on, trying to get the running situation sorted out. If you look right here, this is a switch, temperature switch that turns on the fans. When it activates, only the right fan works, the left cooling fan doesn't work. When the fans come on, there are frequency valves right here, one on this side, there's also one on that side. They both start buzzing, which they're not supposed to do. They're not tied into each other, so there is an issue somewhere. And in trying to figure out what was going on with that and checking the wiring, this vehicle has had issues with the wiring where people have just cut wires. This fuse box, you can see, is all burnt and mangled. Wires have just been cut and taped up and spliced together. There are pink wire here that's just taped off. On this side, in this fuse box assembly, you can see these two relays right here with the fuses on top have been overheated and the fuses are burnt. And again, on this side, there are wires that are just disconnected and hanging. And there has been an issue with this car for a while that someone has been in here trying to repair. And we are going to have to get into some major diagnostics with this car. Oh, as you can see, here's a main power feed that's just taped off. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just a very large power feed that they have taped off and blocked off. And there's no rhyme or reason as to why. There are possibilities that there are other components damaged in this car by this type of repair. It's obvious that someone has done some jury rig repairs trying to bypass an existing problem, and it has led to further problems. To fix this is going to be a major nightmare. So why these wires are just cut and spliced off, taped off, disconnected, there's no telling until we get into it. But this has nothing to do with any of the repairs we have ever done on this vehicle. And like I said, it's just going to be a major nightmare trying to figure this out and fix it.